easy. It's a game of give and take. How long must I wait?
Okay, Mr. Pixel Wizard, let's go. Welcome, everybody. You are at the H.R. Millen Space Center. This is the Vancouver AI Community Meetup number 23. You are the Vancouver AI community. Yeah, let's go. I'm so happy you're all here tonight. There's a lot of new faces. Who's here for the first time? I want to say that's like 60 to 70%. Who's here as a part of the BCAI nonprofit membership? That's the other 30 or 40%. That's pretty cool. Awesome. Well, I'm really happy that everyone's here tonight. If you've been hanging around for long enough, you know I say brazenly on the internet, we don't do panels, we do portals. Well, tonight, what looks like a panel, I assure you, is actually a portal. I went to a talk at a sustainable film production day recently, and Catherine Warren had put together a panel about climate change, but from people who are using these tools, who are interested in them, people who are studying AI, and were holding it to account and had some strong opinions, and it was a fucking rad conversation. It was unexpected. I should look at you guys. It was unexpected. I thought you were going one way. Liz, you went another. It was awesome. And the way the audience engaged afterwards and stuff, so we've built a special container here, and I wanted to bring it in and see what happens. We have tough talks here all the time. We examine both the opportunities and also, are not afraid to critique the status quo. So anyway, I'm really happy you guys are here. That's gonna be the main payload of the evening. We also have a couple other surprises for you, but let's kick things off right around here. Those of you who were here last month met Uncle Big Lungs, Counselor Anthony Joseph from the Squamish Nation. Would you just come on up and welcome us here properly, sir? It's really nice to see you. We're here on Squamish land. You guys maybe know that development right there is called Sanak. It's owned by the Squamish Nation. They're making major moves around here. Welcome, friend. I got this for you.
Yeah, all good. Great to everyone. Thanks. Osquile Tanoia, Isalea, Queen Quishame, Tanachin Fa, Stop Meso Homils, Kohot Mish Oath. Chen Quem and Tomia to Ankach Meshem Stomov, Titsits, to Quachnach, a Wanau, to Anha Seitsa, for Chris, a Sequatos, for Chris, Krug, it's Krug or Krug, sorry. Even us indigenous, we get some of your names wrong too. I just wanted to share that for those of you who don't know me, Anthony Joseph is my English name, but Isalea, you might have seen in the program, is my Quishame, which we say is ancestral name. And the ancestral name, I was just talking to Chris about our naming process. To get an ancestral name, your elders would watch you and see how you carry yourself. A lot of times, like when you would hear some of our Quishamans, the end of the Quishame would be almost like what you did. So like you might hear like my dear aunt Joy Joseph McCullough's Quishamane is Sial Tanat. Tanat is to weave. So it shows that she's a weaver, cedar weaver, wool weaver. But and then my uncle Chester, his ancestral name is Colossal Tin. Tin is to have a tool. It usually refers to carvers. So just wanted to share that. But my name comes from my nameless side. I grew up in Stopmas in the Squamish Valley. I raised my hands to each and every one of you guys. I said, Ankach Nashem Stomo, which means many beautiful people. and you guys are, and I thank you for coming to watch and respect the work of dear Chris and his family of artists. So it's a process to make art. I come from a family of artists. My Joseph family, we have a lot of artists. I actually when I moved back to the Squamish Valley in 2010, my Auntie Joy Sialtanat shared, "You were good with math, yes?" I was like, I was. And she was like, "And I am." And then she was like, "Okay, I'm going to teach you to weave." I was like, "Wool or cedar?" Or she was like, "No, wool." So this is my first tunic that I made. Nice. So, very good. So on the front, it's a diamond design. It's centered around the middle, and then on the back, it's called the chevron design. So you can see the chevron. So that was where I started. This is where I ended. It took a bit to get it, but and my dear sister Rose and my Auntie Joy helping hold me up with that work. But I'm also thankful. I know I talked to Chris about talking about relation to AI. It's really cool. There's so many. You can push so many boundaries. I know when I think about with our ancestors, a lot of my friends, my non-indigenous friends would be like, "Hey, your uncle's using a chainsaw to carve this. Your ancestors didn't have chainsaws." I was like, "No, but they would have used it if it was there." So, and that continues today. We're always looking for new tools. And I've had talks with some of my friends that are into doing AI art, that do indigenous art, and some of the work they come through, and they find like really cool tools on the AI. Canva, I think one of my friends is using that. That's actually how I created my pamphlet for when I was running for council. They're like, "Wow, where did you get?" One of my friends said, "Who did you hire to do this?" I did it myself. You can't afford to hire an art professional. You know how much that is. And I was just like, but they're like, "Well, yeah, I use Canva," and it's like technology now is so amazing, and I'm thankful for it. I'm actually really excited because I actually have a confession. I went down the city to pick up a few things, and then I actually beelined it to Metrotown because I really wanted to try the new iPad. And I'm sold. I'm going to go to Park Royal, put it in order. And then, yeah, I think it's really awesome. I have the original iPad Pro, and I used that when I did my language. I made a video. I got to see what it was like to make a video in iMovie, and it was really cool. I had like question 1, question 2. So my partner, she went to Vegas, and I'm like panicking because our assignments due like 3 days later or something like that. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I gotta get this done." After doing my master's, going the language, the deadlines always got to me as a student. I'm sure many of you guys can relate to that. So I was panicking. I was like, and I asked my teachers, "Hey, wait a sec, I got iMovie. Can I just film myself doing this?" So they're like, "Yeah." So what I did was I filmed a conversation. So I dressed up as 2 different versions of myself, business self and relaxed holiday Anthony. So like, and so you can see the energy and just how I said stuff, and it was funny going back and forth. My mom's like, "What are you doing?" I like question 1, Q1, Q2, Q all the way up to 10, and then A1, A2, all the way up to A10, and then I combined it all and I made a quick little clip. Wasn't that long, 3.5 minutes maybe, but it seemed like it took forever to make because it was just like splicing it and making sure it was just right. And I'm sure you guys can all relate, is that as an artist, you suffer from perfectionism to a fault sometimes. And sometimes it's just good just to let that art be. And I shared that with my sister. I was like, some of the best mistakes are your best art. So, so just know. So I just wanted to share that. So also wanted to share that, welcome you guys to the area we know as Sanok. Really excited that we're having a whole village built. Some of our people will be there too, so I'm really excited to see that. I think that's a reconciliation piece, so I'm really thankful for that. The song I want to share with you guys, it kept coming to me on my way down, is the Spakwa Solom. It comes from Softlock Ball Baker. This song It's held in high regard because the eagles are. It's said to fly the highest. Now to Sisaic, to Spakwas, to flying the eagle. And then, but yeah, so just wanted to share that because I also wanted to share that, and a lot of times you might have seen heard of smudging or been a part of such a ceremony. That's usually we will say our prayers with an eagle feather. People say, why an eagle feather? It was because it flew the highest. It relayed our prayers to the Creator. Creator would hopefully answer or be there, right? So that was something our people would use. So I often ask our honorary guests singing the song to think of prayers for your friends or family, anyone that you think could benefit from those good thoughts, good energy. I think that's such a beautiful thing about us as people is that we have so much we can give in regards to who we are and the energy that could change someone's day, month, week, year. So it's always an honor to share just a bit of who I am and where I come from. So, Encho, Art Knows, Chane. Hey, oh, 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 hey, oh, 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 hey, oh, 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 hey, oh, 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 hey, 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 oh, 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 hey, hey, oh, 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 hey, oh, 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 hey, oh, 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 hey, oh, 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 hey, 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 oh, 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 hey, hey, oh, 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 a skeleton sparkles. Hey, oh, 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 a skeleton sparkles. Cheta, Sota, sparkles, hey, 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 oh, 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 hey, oh, 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 hey, oh, 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 hey, oh, 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 Cheta, Sota, sparkles, hey, 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 oh, 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 hey, oh, 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 hey, oh, 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 hey, oh, 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 hey, 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 oh, 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 hey, hey, oh, 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 the skeleton sparkles. Hey, oh, 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 skeleton sparkles. Cheta, Sota, sparkles, hey, hey. Thank you, all you guys. For those who don't know, when we raised our hands, that's how we would say thank you. And then long ago, our people, They didn't travel by canoe or by car. They traveled by canoe. That was their way. And if you didn't see a walking figure, you just kept going. It's always our way of saying it's neutral space here. You can spend the night on the shore. And that was something I just thought I'd share because a lot of people ask me, what is this, right? And I was like, oh, that's the chief who's bragging about the last salmon he caught. I had a couple of friends who went, oh, really? Yeah, I just wanted to share that too, is that humor is what got us to the darkest of times, and humor is what will get us. You need to catch us in this whole time.
Isgilia?
Islia.
Islia?
Islia.
Islia?
Islia.
Islea.
Yeah. Islia. Yeah.
Thank you, man. Thank you, friend. Yeah.
Paycheck. Before we're sending voice that's just back and forth. But for me, it's an honor as a language champion to hear the effort, because that's the only way you get better. So thank you for trying it. That effort.
Yeah, I mean, before he messed up my name tonight, and then we all messed his name up over and over again as a group, I've been messing it up all week back and forth on voice chats trying to get it right. So thanks, brother. Thank you for being here. And for those of you who thought you were coming to a normal technology event, I'm sorry. You're kind of getting a feel for what's going on around here now. You're also getting a feel for why it goes 4.5 hours sometimes. Okay, I talked to a few of you. Slapped Cookies, Zaro. If you're a community announcements person, Luke, come on up. You know who you are. I talked to you all already. If I didn't name you, but I mentioned you, come on up now. If there's a Schwartzman in the house, maybe it should be one of the, oh no, that's the Slapped folks. So a Surrey, no, yeah, you guys come. A Surrey person come. A Loki person come. Do we got a Loki person still here? All right. So this is gonna be quick. Sasson. This is community announcements. We'll tell you what's going on in our community.
Cool. My name is Sasson. You can call me Sass. I'm very new to AI. I only started in August, but I want to be contributing to Vancouver being the most AI forward city in Canada. I wear two hats. Woo! Come on. I wear two hats. I'm currently an MBA student at UBC, and I quickly identified that the school wasn't teaching us AI. So me and a friend became the co-presidents of the AI club, and we're bringing workshops and fluency and all that to the school, so make sure that is in the program. And the other hat I'm working on is the government relations for the AI and PC club, and so, committee, excuse me. And so, yeah, that's the work I'm doing.
We just started a government relations group. About 15 of the BCAI members are a part of it. It turns out when we all organize and get together and start talking about stuff, people listen, and we need to be strategic about how we approach it. So if you want to know more about that, talk to Sasson. Thanks, buddy. Loki, it's been a while, brother. Good to see you, man. A lot has gone on in your world lately.
There's a lot going on in my world, so I'll keep it brief. Just came back from Victoria. Actually, I live there, so I come over here to do these. We had our first AI summit in Victoria in the South Island. It went startlingly well, and I got to do the closing keynote. That was quite the privilege. Chris was over there. A bunch of us were all over there taking it in. This was part of ViaTech's Tech Week, which happens every year. But the AI Summit, so well run, so diverse, so interesting. They are talking about making it a week long next year. So that's some real ambition.
We collectively offered to be a part of it next year, so I think we will all go over next year as a part of it as well. Yeah.
This is going to be outstanding. So we're really seeing this spreading. We're really seeing a lot of community coming together. Those who know me know that I'm part of the Mind, AI, and Consciousness group. There's about 186 people on that discussion list. Some of you are probably on there. We meet monthly, 20 people at a time. Our next one is December 11th, and then we're closed for the season. The keynote was in part based on the work that we've been doing at MAC. And that was extremely well received. There was a tremendous amount of interest just based on the questions alone. I didn't even really talk about consciousness very, very specifically.
Yes,
but
you did.
They wanted to.
Imagine going to a normal person business conference and talking about consciousness. That was the closing keynote that Loki gave. He's doing amazing work. That reading group that he's talking about is, if you feel like the conversation about AI is superficial, join Loki's Mind, AI, and Consciousness group. They will fucking kick your ass. And if you want to get into a debate, don't do it on their channels because they're well-honed machines. They're going deep. Love what you guys got going on. Slapped. Come say what's up.
Hello, everyone. My name's Eliza.
I'm Noah.
And yeah, we're two high school students in grade 12, and we just started a cookie business called Slap Treats. You know, we named it Slap Treats because, you know, cookies so good they slap.
Yeah, so we cater events. This is our third event so far, which is pretty exciting. And we also do Christmas markets as well as selling in person, just person to person.
About you. These two, they're both entrepreneurs. This is her second company. She runs a lip gloss and cosmetics company. She's an influencer. She accepts contracts for doing stuff for brands online, all sorts of cool stuff. Now they started a company together because of this, so that they could cater our events and stuff like that. So thank you. And thank you for all your contributions. They come to all the AI and education meetups and participate so that it's not just adults talking to adults, it's students and teachers talking to one another. I appreciate that. You support your bros and the leadership of the Surrey group. Thank you very much for that. Now,
I'm Luke, and this is Mayumi, and we are running Tiny Go Studios, which is a AI animation film studio. And yeah, so that's introduction. And we are, after last session, where we had, our film showed and the critical seduction. I don't know if who saw that? Who was here? Okay, cool. Thank you. So it was so well received, and the whole event was such a lovely night that we decided with Chris and Kevin that we are going to be putting on an even more bigger event next year. So next October is going to be a huge film festival. Yeah. So keep out for that.
And just an addendum to that, my goal in that is to see a lot of first-time submitters. So we are going to, for the new year, be putting together some workshops for people who want some help with learning AI tools and animation, who want to figure out where to get started. So please, and for all the other introverts in the room, I am very, very approachable. Please reach out to me directly if the group chat is intimidating. We can put together some small groups and stuff for you guys. So yeah, love to hear from you.
the work you guys have been doing is amazing. So between Kevin laying down the kind of road for the AI Film Club, me supporting it, and you guys standing in doing like all the like day-to-day stuff and cheerleading, it's really become a sweet group. So many of y'all have made new stuff that was like beyond their capabilities even a couple weeks ago. Zaro's shit is fucking, we had to cut it from the agenda tonight because it's a little bit tight around here. But I mean, good work, and I think the proof is in the pudding. People are making crazy cool stuff, and the overall capabilities, both technically and creatively, of our whole crew through some of the things that we've all been a part of has gone up, and fuck yeah. Matt Luck. We're gonna let Zaro go last because I think he's got slides.
How's it going? Yeah, just very quickly, the music from earlier this evening, before we started, that was my new album that I just actually dropped onto all streaming services today. Thanks. Thank you. A lot of the inspiration and the push to get that done has been through the use of AI tools. Like a lot of the conversations amongst people like Zaro, Luke, and like the larger group, like a theme that's kind of starting to emerge, I think, is AI more for the enhancement of creativity versus the replacement of creativity. And I think that album is a really good example. Just again, very quickly, half that album has been recorded as iPhone guitar lines for the last 4 years. The other half is tracks, electronic tracks that I made back in 1998. That I was able to put into Suno, and actually finish something that I'm really happy with. So yeah.
It's been fun watching it come together. He's got a bunch of interesting things. You're going to be seeing his face around here. He's also developed a kind of a design framework and way of approaching projects that he's been developing in public that's really coming some polish on it that I've invited him to come share another time. Matlock, how you want people to find you, bro? On our channels, Jai?
Yeah. On the channels, if you want to search on like Spotify, the group is called Realms, where the R, the number 3, ALMS. Yeah, so look it up.
There's a QR code
as
well outside. So if you really want to, you can go where the food is, by the monitor, the sound monitor. We put a QR code for his album that just released today. So please do it.
I'm about to pass the mic right back to you, Zara, but I wanted to say, is there anyone else who was supposed to be up here who are now that I have let these people talk is deciding that I didn't ask you, but you're supposed to be? You're welcome to come join us as well. Zara.
Right. Well, perfect segue from Luke. Seeing the AI film club going on, I was presented with the opportunity of getting some free credits from one of our members here at Sosako, and it was the first time that I tried to do something like that. So it's funny enough, we entered a few challenges from Sosako together, and we came out really well. So
Image and video generation competition.
Sosako is an image and video generation competition for those of you who don't know. Just getting out of here. But the reality is, in the last week's challenge, we got me in the first place somehow, Luke right there in the second, and then we had Michelle. Oh yeah, Michelle here, Sidbird83.
Yeah, this is Michelle.
Yeah, and this was very, very interesting because
Global competition with cash money prizes that we're fucking crushing right now.
all the way from Japan, if you can't really read it here. But again, I had just started. I came to the last meeting and I was like, well, maybe I should try this out. This looks cool. These people are doing some sweet stuff. Asked Luke for some help, and here we go. So Michelle posted this one. It was about impossible foods. This was a soup of all soups, if I got it right. So there's the soup of time or whatever. it's a nice one. And then this one is from Luke. It was a Coral Cove Boba Bowl. And to finalize, I did one. It's the lava cake for a god. So. So it's a meal of a god. It happens once every eon, and yeah, you have comet hors d'oeuvres, and you have our planet as a lava cake. It's simple. We also participated on the video one. We also got prizes, both Luke and I. So if you haven't tried it yet, come over. Talk to us, talk to Mayumi and Luke, and let's participate.
Also, don't go nowhere. Zaro's playing the stupidest game in the world right now. And did you want us to give us an update on the stupidest game in the world?
Yeah, I can. It's a stupid game, but it's also genius, right? It's one of those things where you're not like, it's like AI. It's complex. You don't know where you stand on the morals and ethics of stuff. It's a simulated social network where humans cannot post. You can only use AI to make content, and you use concepts out of it. And somehow I fast-paced my way into the first place globally, and I am the weirdest. You want to tell them the prize? Yeah, go.
This is a Skunkworks project, like A16Z VC out of San Francisco, like the brightest AI hackers in the world started this weird Skunkworks game project called SimCluster. Zaro got wind of it really early and decided he was going to win it. And he was in 5,000th place at the time. The prize is if you win, your consciousness gets downloaded into a real robot. And
all of the content that you produce while you're trying to get yourself in the first place.
Consciousness of your faking.
Exactly. You make a personality, and they will download that personality from the game into a real robot and send it to you. So...
Told you it was the stupidest game in the world. He's number 1 on the leaderboard. He's probably going to get his brain down. Yeah. I want to be a robot. Thank you for all being here. Thanks for coming up and saying hello. And these are the legs of this community. It's grown way beyond just this event. It's all sorts of stuff now, and this is a lot of who's moving it there. Well, that must have been interesting for the skeptical amongst us when it comes to AI. I mean, I feel like some of those images need unpacking. I don't think Zara was like, yo, this is art by itself or something, but it was a part of a competitive process. But this is where we take up a bit of a hard turn. So I think, right? Yeah. So I'm about to invite Lionel Ringenbach up here. He has exhibited 3 things over the 2 years he's been with us. The first thing was a really cool AI prompting device where instead of prompting it, you put images in front of its eyeballs and then it would blend those things together and generate new things from it. Then he came back and he was like, yo, I'm not even sure about the power and impact, the energy. He went for a vacation and he left his computer trained and he's like, I don't even actually know how much energy it's going to use. And so that began a really in-depth, long-term conversation in this community about the true impact of all this stuff. Not just in terms of power or water or culture, as this comes to Anthony, but jobs and all sorts of things. We've been asking the hard questions. So anyway, without too much further ado, I just want to draw a straight line. Come on up, Lionel. I want to draw a line between the conversation you invited us into around power and water and this panel that we're about to have here tonight. So welcome, buddy. I'm happy to have you back. I'm happy that these benches are here because you usually like to try to hide in the dark, and I would like to encourage you to stand here in the light. All right, Lionel Ringenbach.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Lionel. I'm going to talk tonight a bit of an update from the last time on what is up with AI. So what with 2 T's, funny. And I'm going to talk about open source a little bit also in that discussion and what kind of impact has AI on open source today. So that was the last time. That was the episode 2 of What's Up with AI, where I talked about WhatsApp and project that I developed, which is a GitHub Copilot version that actually tells you about and kind of memorize all the requests you've made and gives you a little bit of estimation of what is the equivalency of this energy use, etc. Just so you have a bit of an idea. And to give a bit of a summary of what is WhatsApp, or the goal of that project is to kind of measure the energy use of AI tools. So you can monitor inside tools that are either in a far distance or on your computer. And also to build a certain language to interpret what does that even mean. How do we make it tangible? And finally, that will be the final goal of WhatsApp, or really the goal is how do we act on this and what do we do about it? Is there anything we can actually do? So I did present that project at Meetup this year in Montreal, and that's where I developed a new tool that I will show you tonight. So this summer, OpenRouter, if you don't know it, OpenRouter is one of the biggest provider for AI, LLMs, and even image generation now. If you want to integrate with a plethora of LLM without to directly interact with OpenAI, then OpenRouter is a great choice because you can easily switch from one model to another. And one thing they did this summer is that they created a leaderboard. No problem. This leaderboard here, where we can see the number of tokens that have been used this week here. We see this week, even it shows also for the past months across different providers and different models. And they'll even tell us over time what it looks like. And so I thought that's a great occasion to kind of, maybe we can add some data on this. I built WhatsApp for OpenRouter, which basically scrapes their web page because they don't offer an API. So I did what I could. Sometimes it breaks. And used Ecologit, which is another tool, open source tool, that allows you to do estimation based on how many tokens were produced, how long was the request, what is the size of the model. So here, this tool allows you to tell, for example, this month, how many gigawatts of energy were used and what is the projected gas emission, CO2 emissions. And soon you will also know about how much water has been potentially used for creating all these workloads. So it's really not about trying to blame or to make it or shame or to say this is bad, but to really say, here's what it is, and to actually be aware of it. And to continue trying to work towards that, so we have an idea: is it getting better? Is it getting worse? And in that tool, also built in some equivalencies, so we can have an idea. Also, what does that even mean? There is other screens on it where you can see, for example, how many kilometers in a car it is, or things that are a bit more relatable. Can you go to the next screen? And through this, I started working a little bit on the second step of that project, which is to be interpreting this data. Some other project already did some work. For example, the AI impact tracker here that you can install in Chrome that tells you information about your ChatGPT usage. This is very specific to ChatGPT and continuously monitors your usage in Chrome. It stays local for you. And so from there, they develop some kind of language of environmental equivalence. So we have an idea of what does that even mean. And so in WhatsApp for GitHub Copilot, I kind of started reusing that with also like the famous how many hours of running a microwave. And in WhatsApp for Open Router, a bit more of equivalencies. Knowing also that sometimes those equivalencies is a bit difficult because there is an equivalency for the energy use, an equivalency for the carbon emissions, for the water that is used, but they're not all precise. So I'm still kind of working through that to kind of really delineate and maybe build a framework for WhatsApp that could be used for all the tools. And here I'm going to talk about Ecologits, which is the tool that I use in Open Router in both of those tools. Ecologit is a project developed open source, and they have made a big improvement in their methodology, which also integrates water consumption. And also they have really improved the accuracy of the model estimation of how many parameters in a model, and also for open source model, what is the actual energy use of these models. Also including things such as like the water usage of a certain data center. So you have an idea also, for example, the power efficiency, if it comes from Google, if it comes from AWS, you can have different efficiencies. And a bit of a good news, Google published an energy report recently as a paper, which is measuring the environmental impact of delivering AI at Google scale. Finally, yeah, that's great. It's a good move. That's a good move. It's actually a positive thing to see, and hopefully we will see more and more companies doing that. So it's the first methodology that's very holistic. It shows on the right side, as part of the paper, a screenshot that it takes into account really a lot of the life cycle of a server that's running AI, not just like the chip utilization, but also all the way to when machines are idle, or like the overhead of running a data center. And this methodology can be used by other companies and other data centers to do the same and do a more precise measurement that is actually really taking the entire data center. It's not just about estimating how much the GPU use, but how much does it cost to run that whole thing. And there is some interesting part. They determine that it takes 0.24 watt-hour per prompt and 5 drops of water per prompt, which is interesting, but it's kind of problematic in some way because those measurements that they define as standard are not comparable. Because it's per prompt means it's like very hard for you to compare to another company if they were doing it, because a prompt is not the really unit of measurement of AI. When it produces, the token is the real measurement. So hopefully we'll see new paper coming up with measurable and comparable values, and hopefully companies don't continue using that value because that's not very useful to actually know if we're doing better. Fair. And another thing that it's great that they did this, but while they're doing this, they have Google Veo. It's a really big model, and this is one area where we really don't know. Can you go next, please? And so, open source. 2-3 minutes. Okay. So open source is really the reason why we know all this. There would be no data on this matter, and Google probably wouldn't step forward to do this otherwise. And right now, all the larger flagship models don't tell us anything about their use, and they are the big ones, the one that's really interesting and juicy. And there is almost no data on video models today, and that's very important because those we have quite a good intuition, I think, that they would be using a lot more than text models, and absolutely nothing on world models. And those are very cool models, but also the energy use, we have no idea. And there's no open source world model as far as I know, so we can't really tell. And user privacy is kind of crumbling because we use more and more of that closed AI. Because think about the question that you were asking when you use a search and what kind of things you tell to ChatGPT, because it's a chat. It's very different. And so I'm going to talk a bit of a project, open source project, for example, the curl project. It's a very important project that runs the internet in so many ways. It's basically how a lot of software make requests to servers. And recently, the maintainer has wrote this article, Death by a Thousand Slop, where they started receiving on HackerOne. HackerOne is a platform where you can post vulnerabilities that you find about software, and they can give you money back for finding actual problems. But recently, in July, they spent 8 times more time on vulnerability report, but actually only 5% of those reports are legitimate. So they're basically spending time on reports that are absolutely not reproducible. They're completely hallucinated. So that's a bit of a problem. And that's kind of like really overloading open source, that is already running on low funds usually.
So you're talking about hackers seeking bounties are using Claude Code and shit like this to try to find, vulnerabilities in curl, but they're not there. They're hallucinating them, they're submitting them anyway, and they're wasting all the people resources of the open source project, parsing between real commits and fake commits.
Exactly, and the blog is very interesting. Please read it because they give details about it. It's really interesting that they converse on the HackerOne with actually AI, and it's really weird. Can we go to next, please? And that's another project, FFmpeg. It's a different problem, but it's also an open source project. It's a very important project because it runs all the streaming online. YouTube, Netflix, think about any streaming platform uses FFmpeg in some way. And Google Big Sleep, which comes from Google DeepMind, is a very big system that is very good at finding vulnerabilities and actually making real vulnerabilities true vulnerabilities actually and publishing them. But their policy is that if within 90 days you haven't fixed it, we will reveal it. So now there are tons of projects that are open source that need to have like this ticking bomb from Google that is $1 trillion company, with this company like open source project that don't have much funds and certainly no time to execute so fast on vulnerabilities. And all of a sudden they get 20 vulnerabilities. Some of them are actually not really exploitable. And what do? Because in 90 days, they will have actual vulnerabilities like revealed in product that we all use. And they don't have a time to fix it. See how this could be very discouraging for open source maintainers to continue maintaining those projects.
Okay, you've exceeded your time. So I'd like to give you 30 seconds more to wrap it up, and then we'll talk about the award thing together.
Okay, all right. Let's go to the next.
Don't even skip the slides. Pull it from inside you. What's the last 30 seconds of this presentation?
Give me another slide, please.
As long as it takes less than 30 seconds.
Okay, let's go. So recently, OpenAI had this token consuming award, which is very interesting because they actually rewarding people for consuming 1 trillion token. Is that the right incentive? What are we gamifying here? What is this gamification? So can we go to the next? And so I kind of done an estimation. I did an estimation what does a 1 trillion token is actually. And so here are the numbers. And for example, is the energy use of 52,000 household daily energy use, that's 1 trillion token, or 3.5 million kilometers driven in a car. Not saying it's good, it's bad, but here what it is. Probably some of you have received that award, but that's okay. I'm not blaming you. I understand. But it's like, what are they trying to reward? It's kind of interesting. And we can go to next, and that will be it. That's the award. That's the award now.
I mean, it's actually, I want to both be conscientious of time, but also expansive. And so it's like, well, you know what they're rewarding with that award. They're saying that there is work that is being done, valuable work of some sort that's being done, and they're trying to optimize. They're not just like, who can blow 1 million tokens down the toilet will give you an award. Those people are trying to like do useful things such as science, research, healthcare, video games and entertainment.
I agree with you. I'm not saying the award is like completely bad or people using token is bad. What I'm saying is that what is it being rewarding? Because they clearly took this from YouTube, which is a democratic system where people actually subscribe to community like videos that they actually enjoy versus something that is actually paid, literally paid for. And now the number of tokens consumed does not bind to value delivered. Like a revenue of a company does not mean it's actually delivering value. That is the thing. But definitely, meaning that we're using token to do something useful is true, but is that the measurement of value? Probably not. I don't know what is the measurement of that value. Community can say it with different ways, but it's not revenue or token used.
And it's as our conversations go deep on it, it's like until you can even see what you're using those million tokens for in terms of impact, how do you ever make a choice between a better performing system in terms of impact or a worse performing system? Like you have no choice, you have no ability to even see those things. So monitoring your usage is the first step, I think, towards hitting targets and reduction ultimately.
Exactly, and that goes right into the award. So I was thinking about this thing. What if we turned this onto its head and actually created an award for saving tokens? So maybe we can do something with BC plus AI, actually, and no award is part of this. But the idea is like, what if you here have found a way to save 1 million, 10 million, 100 million token? It doesn't really matter what the tier is, but let's say you saved 1 million token this month by doing something. Please let us know about it. Let's write about it. Let's talk about it, and let's share it back to the community so we can actually make progress toward, like, not using less of AI, but make a more sober use of it and not just like wasting tokens, but actually have an award that is worse, that is going to actually like really contribute back to the community in a positive way.
Yeah. Business talk, they say if you want to change the outcomes, you change the incentives. Well, how about we give out awards for, how many tokens you can save instead of how many tokens you can use. Nice little analogy.
And there are some flyers on the outside if you want to subscribe to the newsletter of What's Up or see the website, see how you can contribute or contact me. Please pick up a flyer on the way out and,
Yes, sir, in the back.
I could just shout out.
Nope, we're on camera here, sir. We want to record this for posterity.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. I'm Raghav. I own an AI firm I founded in March of this year. So I was kind of intrigued by one of the comments that you had in the slide that user information is crumbling with closed AI. How do you define closed AI first? And then, because your premise for the presentation was open source, how do you interpret open source to actually not do the same?
So I guess there is many interpretation of open source, that is true. When I talk about closed AI and privacy, I talk about AI that you cannot run on your computer, for example, that you wouldn't be able to run on your own hardware, that you have to actually send your data to a company for it to process it for you and gives you an answer, as opposed to something you can hash locally and you can be sure that your privacy is preserved. Usually those models are open source. I don't know of any like private source model that ships on your computer so far, even though it's probably on your iPhone, but these are the different type of AI.
Yeah, I won't beleaguer the point, but clearly, open source software, we can all write tools and monitoring stuff on top of it. Closed proprietary systems, you never know what's going on under the hood. I mean, traditional definition. Any other burning questions for Lionel? Comments? Yes, sir.
Thank you. I have a quick question and then also a comment. First question, when you did the CO2 emissions calculation, I'm just curious, was there a way to figure out if the energy was actually coming from a renewable source, or did you just assume it was 100% fossil fuel based? And is there a way to kind of change that depending on where it's actually coming from, the data processing? And then I like the comment on incentivizing saving tokens, but I think right now a lot of these companies are that are selling this computational time and capacity are making money from that. So they're incentivizing usage because they make more money from that. But I think if we're going to incentivize saving, then I guess it would be cool to find a way to actually monetize that saving as well. So there's a financial backing for it too.
Sorry, remind me, your first question was CO2 emission. Okay, how is it calculated? So in this case, I use the world electricity mix. The tool Open Router, what's up for Open Router, you actually have a setting somewhere where you can choose that energy mix. I'm planning to improve it so that based on the different provider you have, you know which energy mix is tapping into. So you can say it's going to be maybe like Anthropic is going to be USA, and if different places you'll have different energy mix. But there's a tool, there's a way you can change that in the UI as a setting that you can try to simulate. Like in WhatsApp for Open Router, I don't know each model's parameters, so I just defined it as 20 billion parameters in average for everything. So if you crank this to 40, it will be a lot more. So that's how it's kind of evaluated. There are some assumption of what energy mix or billion of parameters at the moment, but we can improve this over time by trying to, And your second question that I forgot was about?
It was a comment.
A comment on the monetization of like those awards, right? Or kind of like giving a good incentive. And I agree with you, like everybody's running right now. It's an actual global stampede of AI. Like Google didn't want to run at first, but OpenAI did it. So Google started running, everybody's running, and we are all trying to—
Let's go as fast as we can.
Exactly.
Where are we going? I don't know, but let's go fast.
And I hear a lot that this is inevitable, but I disagree with it. I think it's inevitable. We just don't have to contribute to it. We can slow down. We're not going to miss anything. There's nothing to be missed on. Of course, if we think about money, we're going to miss on some money, that's for sure. But as humanity, I don't know if by going faster, we're going to earn something more. So I don't have a way to— I'm just thinking about this award, how can we make this award more interesting? But to me, the reward is that we get to contribute to the larger community by sharing our findings, really trying to, know what we're doing with this.
Yeah, man. Thank you. You've been challenging us since the very beginning. Lionel is a first-order programmer. He's a first-order artist. He's a first-order thinker. If you're interested in this stuff, connect with Lionel. Good job, man. Thank you, sir. Have you ever been the warm-up band for somebody else? Lionel, have you ever been the warm-up band?
What is a warm-up band?
The band that goes on before the main band to get the crowd in the right spirit?
No, but I guess that's it.
Congratulations. Thank you. Okay, up next, you can see where this is going. But before we get there, I wanted to invite up a new colleague of mine, Amanda, who is here to talk to us a little bit about an experience that she went through that is kind of like related to all of this stuff and helps to kind of give us another perspective on it. So a lot of us are doing AI stuff for a long time, and we hear about stories of people whose likeness or artworks or voice or video likeness has been taken from them without their consent and used for things, who knows, money-making, nefarious things, all sorts of different things. But I think that it's difficult to connect with some of those stories unless we know somebody that it's happened to. And so Kay introduced me to someone recently who it's happened to. And Kay's a panelist here who's going to be coming up for the next panel. So thanks for being here, Amanda. And Kay, I just wanted you to come up and introduce Amanda and tell us why you invited her to be a part of all this, please. Not quite.
Not quite. Okay, here we are. Hi, how's it going? My name is Kay. You'll learn about me a little bit more later, but for now, I would like to put the spotlight on my friend, Amanda. Amanda Silvera is the author of Chapter 11.3 in the State of AI Ethics Report, which we published at the Montreal AI Ethics Institute. Amanda is a Canadian voice actor and entrepreneur committed to fighting for AI ethics, creative rights, and biometric identity protection through her organizations, Society for Original Biometric Identity Rights and Society for Original Biometric Identity Rights Technologies. She advocates for responsible AI governance and human authenticity. She is the voice behind Psych2Go, which has 12.5 million followers on YouTube, 12.9 now, almost 13 million. And her voice and likeness were scraped and is now being used without her consent. So here is her story.
Thank you, Kay. Thank you so much for having me. It is an honor. I'm going to get comfy and sit down. I've got a little bit written here, but I'll start by just telling you a bit about the story. So I am a voice actor. from 2017 until now, through Site2Go, we have posted thousands and thousands of videos which have been reposted all over the place, Snapchat, any platform. It's been reposted legally or illegally, which offers up a whole bunch of data that can be used for different types of cloning and voice tech. So it was brought to my awareness that there were two platforms on YouTube that were using my voice. And it wasn't just text to speech. It was literally, they speak into the microphone and my voice comes out. It was really crazy because it was so good that I'm sitting there and I'm like, did I say that? I absolutely did not. The first instance was the most disturbing so far. It was a gentleman who was using my voice to pose as a young girl and lure older men in, posing as this young girl. And it was all, live videos of these men. And my voice was being used to seduce them. It was very, very disturbing, and it's still happening now. The frustrating thing was, as I came to find these different platforms and different people using my voice, I was hitting a wall when it came to my rights. I was hitting a wall when it came to how much of my voice is even mine. And even when speaking to people in law, we were all frustrated with the sense that there is a very gray, murky area when it comes to almost every part of our identity and our creations and everything that comes from us as humans. Our art, our thoughts, our poetry, our homework. At this point, everything is kind of just being regurgitated. And the gray area is kind of what I'm working on now. As I was sending DCMA requests and once one was down, I was being uploaded somewhere else. There's Reddit threads looking for this user who had this great clone, and I believe it's the Amanda Silvera voice model. It's the Amanda Silvera voice model. You can find it here. I have it here. It doesn't matter. I could spend hours every day fighting to get one clone down and another 5 are popping up. And the more popular the clone is, the more it's going to continue to be, re-uploaded in private places that I can't find, behind paywalls. So that's why I decided to kind of move over to fighting for not just me, but for everyone who has a voice. So all of you, thank you. We should have rights to our voices. I use my voice to gain access to my bank account. I don't know if those biometric identifiers could tell the difference between me or the clones that I was listening to online. I really don't know. So I founded the Society of Biometric Identity Rights, and we're pushing for policy changes in legislature that will protect us. Slowly but surely. This happened in March, so it's been a whole lot happening at once. But the missing piece is that we have Denmark, who has made amazing strides towards protecting and copyrighting our likeness. I think in the EU and in America, there's the Elvis Act and a few different things happening. It's great, the idea that we could copyright our voices or our likeness or our biometric identities, our gait, our likeness, our eye, our corneas, retinas. That's great. But we can't protect what we don't know about. There are versions of these things all over the place. I can't keep track of them. And if I don't know about them, I can't fight for them. I can't protect myself. But I don't think that that's a problem that we can't fix. At this point, we have a problem, and it has come because of AI. But I think that the solution in this case, the antidote, may actually also come from AI. I think that's kind of where I'm at. The missing piece is just how do we keep a track of where everything is? And how do we also verify with confidence? Kind of how do we get a confidence score to say that this is close enough to your voice that we can confirm that that's where it came from? These are things that we're going to have to figure out when it comes to legislature and protecting ourselves. It's an exciting time. I also want to make a point that it's not AI that's doing this, it's people. It's people abusing something. So I think that's an important point. all of the issues that we're facing, it's not AI's fault. It's how we're using it. We need to be a little bit more responsible, and we need to be filling in these gaps, especially in legal. We're racing to catch up with something that is continuing to evolve and improve and grow exponentially. And every time it grows exponentially, it's growing that much more. It's just, we can't keep up, but we have to try. So that's my story. It's such a long link. I have a petition. I have a petition. If you look up, let me see. I've got a petition going on change.org. I wonder if you just searched my name, if you could find it. We'll figure it out. We'll find a way to share it with you guys. Okay. I'll have to do a little digging right now. One sec. Yes, it's going to Minister Evan Solomon. I sent it to Kay, right? You have a link? We want all of the signatures. We want infinite signatures. But the goal... Let me see. Demand laws to stop AI voice theft and deepfake exploitation. It's long. I'm gonna have to cut that shorter. I'll update it. I made it like the day after I found out what was happening. It was just one step after the other, but yeah, we're working on it and we'll figure it out.
Do you have a petition with Ottawa, like sponsored by an MP?
No, but I mean, I will. Whatever I need, I'm gonna make happen.
I'd love to have a conversation with you about it because I work in government relations. So at change.org, like.
Where are you? There you are. Hi.
Like at change.org, it's great.
It's cute, right? But yeah, we need to look bigger.
If you want to get the policymakers to pay attention,
Mm-hmm.
they have a platform called e-petition, and like we have an AI parliamentary secretary over here in Vancouver. I sit on his board. Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk.
So it'd be great to get these people to pay attention of like what's the kind of damage that the average person is going through.
Mm-hmm.
That their identity and their self.
It can happen to anyone. Yeah, if you posted anything on Instagram or, it can happen to anyone. It's not just me. Is that a question over there?
Yeah.
What's up?
Two parts.
Okay.
Does this extend past voice to physical identity, particularly around the use of like AI pornography? First question.
Yeah. There's actually there's something out there that I haven't been able to see behind a paywall where they're saying it's my voice and I don't know what else.
Second, is Chris in the room?
I hope so.
Okay. If he's not,
He's outside.
Pardon me?
He was outside.
Okay, to the GR guy, Minister, in regards to AI, is doing an open call. They've got a panel. They did this mainly for the month of October.
Yeah.
I'm also going to put up my hand to get you connected. This is important. It needs to extend past voice. It needs to extend to physical identity.
Absolutely. Everything that makes us human, for sure.
If anyone in BC government's in the room, BC government's doing a little bit of work around this identity. It can affect us all and be life-changing if it happens.
Absolutely.
It has not come out yet, and because there hasn't been enough people who've experienced what AI can do for the negative, we all want this protection, man, woman, and child.
Thank you. Exactly. It may be rare right now, but it won't be rare for long. I did have one more note. I did mention the tech that I'm working on, conceptualizing. I've run it by a few people, and I'm really hopeful for it. Because I've experienced this, I know what we need. I know what we need to fill in the blanks. My mouth is so dry. So right now I'm looking for senior machine learning engineers specializing in voice and audio. Generative water. Oh, God bless you. I'm as thirsty as a generative.
Thirsty as the ground that they built a data center on.
Facts, that part. Okay, I'll start from the top. So currently, I'm looking for a senior machine learning engineer specializing in voice and audio, generative AI safety detection engineers focused on deepfake detection, synthetic media identification, and watermarking, cloud architects with data sovereignty experience, DevOps engineers to build scalable, secure systems, biometric-focused cybersecurity engineers, data privacy engineers, policy and compliance technologists, product and app developers, that's it for now, but it's going to be a lot. But if you are any of those or know anyone who are those and want to chat, let's chat. That's probably it for me. I love us. I love humanity. I love our voices, but I also love our planet, and I love the conversations that are coming next. They're very, very important. And I'm going to stay close because I also have quite a few things to say on the matter. So thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amanda, for being part of this.
Oh.
I'm going to let Kay keep that one. That's going to be the panelist microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks, everybody. I hope you're having a good time. Is this all right? Yeah? You might have met Alex at the bar earlier. She's got waters and sparkling wines and beers just right there in the back of the room. They changed the rules because we're such a conscientious group and we're allowed to drink in here, so stay conscientious, please. Can I get the panelists to come on up? And I don't need to say too much. Catherine Warren has been a member of this community for the last year. It's so cool to reconnect with you, Catherine. We knew each other during the Web 2.0 days. She's a powerhouse and has been a big part of the economic development, technology communities here in British Columbia for a good long time. Pixel Wizard, do you need David Wang to help you out? Yeah. David Wang, please report to the stage. Don't leave until the snickerdoodles are served. Let me tell you, slapped cookies, snickerdoodles in the house. So it's just gonna be a little noisy here while people grab beers and transition. Kevin is gonna get locked and loaded. You good?
Yeah.
Not you. Our graphics have always been fucking awesome, but they just got another major up level. This guy right over here, David Wang, has taken over as our art director and has completely expanded our capabilities. So David, thanks so much, bro. It's been great having you helping out, man. Thank you. Kevin, are you getting a drink too?
Looks like it.
I'm gonna give it to you, Catherine, unless you want me to hold the space for one more second, but I think it's about time.
All good.
You wanna come right here for a quick sec? Come on up. Catherine Warren, who knows Catherine? Yeah, a couple friends out here. Thank you so much for pulling this together. I fucking hate panels, and I went there to support you, Kay, and Kevin. We're all in the same thing. And you introduced me to Liz, whose work is amazing, and made me realize you shouldn't judge shit. You know, you shouldn't you should definitely approach every single thing with an open mind, because this is some good shit. So thank you for coming here. It's not easy to pull 4 or 5 people together in the same room at the same time. Catherine Warren.
Welcome, everyone, and especially welcome to our newbies here. Thanks. It's really great to see so many new people in the room, and I appreciate very much being together in one of the world's greenest cities, an AI powerhouse, also talking about something that is very much—
Hey, Catherine, your mic sucks.
Thank you. So much better. And I really appreciate the fact that we're here in a creative economic sector as well. So just by way of background, Vancouver is a global powerhouse when it comes to media and entertainment. We're also the home of Adbusters, Greenpeace, and many other, let's say, action-oriented media and activist organizations. So we are very much right place, right time to be having a conversation at the intersection of artificial intelligence, sustainability, and the creative economy. And I'm very happy to be here with 3 entertainment thought leaders. And we are going to hear more from our panelists in a minute. And then I also want to thank Anthony for convening us on the unceded territories of Squamish Nation. I am so grateful to be here, and magic happens when you convene with purpose. So thank you so much, Anthony. As Chris mentioned, I'm your moderator, Catherine Warren. I'm the founder and president of Fan Trust, and we are celebrating our 25th anniversary this fall at the intersection of innovation, entertainment, and economic development. And, thinking back, since about 2016, innovation in these areas has tended to mean artificial intelligence, sustainability, and inclusion. So we'll be talking a bit about those as innovations. And my own background in climate physics actually launched me on this trajectory many years ago, and a commitment to climate leadership. And much later in my career as CEO of Vancouver Economic Commission, I had the privilege to oversee our film commission and also do a lot of work in the circular and green economy. And what I learned from that is that you can do well by doing good, and that these things aren't mutually exclusive. So to work in sustainability does not take away from the bottom line. And in fact, it can contribute to new revenues, relationships, and reach. Somewhat later, I was recruited by the mayor of the city of Edmonton to come out to Alberta's capital, and there I launched an ethical artificial intelligence accelerator fund, and we focused on AI for social good. So we're going to be talking a bit about that and where sustainability and the green economy fits in to things like the Sustainable Development Goals. So let's get into our topic at a high level, and then I will introduce our panelists, but I thought I'd do just a little bit of table setting before we turn it over to our experts. I really see AI as a double-edged sword, or maybe even an AK-47. It is ubiquitous, it is powerful, and it is very dangerous in the wrong hands. And when it comes to the climate emergency, we are faced with a paradox. On the one hand, AI, of course, promises to help us solve a climate crisis of our own making. But on the other hand, AI's insatiable energy consumption could just as easily push us past the brink. So it's sort of a battle that's going on there. But the truth is, we don't need intelligence, human or artificial, to address the climate emergency, right? Any dum-dum can do it. We know exactly what to do. We get off carbon, full stop. We've known this since the 80s, and that was a gentler time. It was a time when we actually had a lot more time to do something about it. And it was a time when all the facts already known to women were out there for the taking. The research was in the 80s. So this is not, in fact, an intelligence problem at all. It's a problem of political will. And so, put simply, can artificial intelligence fix human idiocy? Or have we, with all of our intelligence, just created a smart machine in our own image, essentially another energy monster? Machines, they are just like us. So at COP30 this month, AI moved for the first time from the sidelines to the front lines. And the conference highlighted the potential to do things like cut emissions, harness energy and water sustainably, and warn communities about the impact of climate threats. As if we needed any more warnings, but there you go. But real concerns still remain. There are no global standards to measure or control AI's carbon footprint, or water, or energy. And AI-driven climate misinformation is exploding. So we're going to talk a bit about that. And I guess my question for all of you as you listen to our panelists is, will AI help us tackle ourselves and be the better person? What role can AI and the media industry play in saving the planet? And We are about to find out from our expert panelist, Kay Bartigo, and she is the Director of Marketing Communications at the Montreal AI Ethics Institute. Welcome, Kay. So happy to see you again.
Thank you, Catherine.
Kevin Friel, you know Kevin as the man behind the machine, but he's here today as an AI filmmaker and video producer. And then we have Liz Marshall, filmmaker of Liz Mars Productions. Welcome, Liz. And I'd like to start with you, Kay. You mentioned moments ago when you introduced Amanda that your organization just released a new report. Tell us about your work at the Institute and your research findings as they relate to both entertainment and sustainability.
Thank you so much, Catherine. So I'm the Global Marketing Director for the Montreal AI Ethics Institute. Earlier this month, we published the State of AI Ethics Report. It basically covers various sectoral applications of AI, from sustainability to healthcare, military, and entertainment, and everything in between. So please read it, download it, it's free. If you go to montrealethics.ai, you can find a report. But I want to tie back to a point that you made, Catherine, before I dive in a little bit further. So when we were prepping for this particular panel, I was reminded by biologist Edward Wilson, who argues that the problem with humanity is that we have Paleolithic emotions with medieval institutions and godlike technology. And when we examine, right, the intersection of AI and climate change, the problem is not theoretical. As Catherine mentioned, it's very political. It's about political will. But moreover, it's also existential. So again, going back to the report, it was quite a feat to put it together. We had 58 contributors, including Amanda. That's 48 essays across 17 chapters. It was an enormous effort. But overall, what we found is a growing power gap between the people creating AI technologies and the policies around AI. And on the other side of it are the people using it on the ground, particularly the people feeling its adverse consequences. And public policy, as I was, again, thinking about this in this context, should really protect the most vulnerable members of the population. Policy fails when people who are most affected, again, who have to live with the consequences, are not included in conversations that will affect their lives, particularly public policy conversations, and especially so when public policy consultations are mostly theater. So I think that, and I'll echo my colleague Renji Butalid, who's a co-founder of the Institute. We failed to implement thoughtfully if we rush to deploy new technologies. And for example, and just to kind of ground this conversation, according to the MIT Technology Review, 5-second videos produced by new Gen AI models use 3.4 million joules. That's more than 700 times the energy required to generate a high-quality image. This is equivalent to riding 61 kilometers on an e-bike, or speaking of microwaves, running a microwave for over an hour. And that's just for a 5-second video. Of course, these numbers are estimates because it's a black box. We don't really know what the real numbers are. Because AI companies are not transparent and forthcoming with their energy usage. So these estimates don't capture how we'll use AI in the near future. So really, in many ways, when we think about it, right now is probably the smallest footprint we'll ever have when it comes to AI use of energy and water consumption. So we're not even looking at how burdensome AI can really be on local power grids or local wastewater facilities. By 2028, researchers estimate the power going to AI-specific purposes can increase to 326 terawatt hours per year, which is comparable to the annual power usage of certain countries. To put in perspective, 326 terawatt hours generates the same emissions as driving over 300 billion miles. That's over 1,600 round trips from Earth to the sun. In the recent COP30, which just wrapped up earlier this month, what we've seen is a slew of broken promises. Nations around the world have failed miserably in stabilizing the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. So now climate experts are saying it's inevitable that global temperatures will exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius, which is the limit that we had set for ourselves several years ago. But what is the significance of exceeding 1.5 degrees Celsius? According to the Environmental and Energy Study Institute, this means more frequent and intense heat waves, wildfires, storms, and floods. This means nearly 1 billion people will be exposed to water stress and desertification, which is really intense to think about. 63 billion in adaptation and residual damages to major crops. It will put 14% of the world's species at risk of extinction. About 24% more people would face flooding compared to historical levels. Coral reefs would decline by 70 to 90%. Building data centers en masse will only accelerate global warming. What we're seeing in governance is the infrastructure isn't ready, the literacy isn't there, and the participation mechanisms are broken. We're moving too fast to ask the right questions about deployment, consequences, and accountability. Each new investment cements the current trajectory unless equity and justice are built in by design, and we truly believe that we can do that if we have the will to do so. Humanity is at a crossroads, and how we proceed will determine whether we're doomed or redeemed.
Very, very sobering and well said. And, you know, everyone in the room here is here because you care about this topic. And, you know, we're early enough in AI, still a relatively new technology, that if we put it under this kind of scrutiny and apply policy to it, we can turn this around. The other thing that you made me realize is that, you know, we've been, even without AI, creating a lot of garbage videos using our own digital footprint as humans, and we never put that under the kind of spotlight that I think AI is going under. So maybe it's time to also look at the stuff that we are creating ourselves. And the other thing, of course, is AI is now embedded. It's stealth. It's in almost every tool we use. So with that, I would like to turn over to you, Kevin, and ask you, as an AI filmmaker who's using these new tools every day, how are you keeping it green? How much of what you're using has what I would think of as like stealth or embedded AI versus intentional AI?
First of all, I want to welcome you all to my living room here. Would you like some snacks? There's some nice drinks at the back. When this whole sort of, you know, redux of our conversation that we had at the Sustainable Production Forum a few weeks ago, I was blown away by the diversity of information and experiences, and the conclusion that really, you know, hit a focal point in the middle. And I'm really excited to, you know, find new information, new fulcrums in that, and of course with all of you as well. In terms of the compute problem in production, compute in creating content is not a new problem. What we're facing right now is an exponential scale of compute that we have never seen in an exponential scale of creating content, not only by, established firms such as visual effects companies or large movie studios or perhaps even indie producers, but the everyday person, by virtue of the speed of our internet now, allows one-for-one access to incredible amounts of compute that we have never had access to before. And that creates an interesting paradigm in that, those of us that have been living and breathing GPU compute for, 15 to 20 years, if you were an early adopter for it, we saw this coming in a lot of ways. We've had to deal with power management. We've had to deal with cooling all along. Before, water cooling was really sort of affordable and attainable on the scale of render farms that we would have. We were maxing out GPUs in the late 2000s in this sense. So this is something that has arrived at such a scale that nobody was really prepared for, except for a few of us that were lucky to see it early in the front lines. So all of that to say that there's a two-pronged approach and problem and quandary that we have in terms of production's relationship to compute. And first, the first notion is the compute that we can control, and that's local. We can use efficient code. We can use efficient compute. One of the parts that I really wanted to introduce into this conversation tonight is efficiency of compute itself. The design of the efficiency of compute is deeply problematic in GPUs. And I hear some yeses, people who are like really in the weeds on this, can you give a hell yeah on that? Right? We have one major player who is providing compute on the GPU scale to everyone, the $5 trillion elephant in the room, NVIDIA. And the reason that they have such clout is it's not just hardware design, but they have embedded their software so well and so deeply into being the only compute platform that is accessible and reasonable at these at-scale and local compute processes. They're the only game in town. There are other hardware vendors, but no one wants to touch their software because it just can't, NVIDIA has a 20-year lead on hardware and software interface to make all of these things happen. So when we look at that approach, we look at alternative ways of computing, and we've done that already on the CPU side. For instance, when Intel was ruling everything and AMD came up and beat them by creating better compute for cheaper, for less power, and for less heat output. And then ARM came along and with partnerships with Snapdragon and with Apple have revolutionized CPU compute. And now systems on a chip where you can do, equivalent to NVIDIA 4090 compute at 40 watts, whereas an NVIDIA 4090, hits 500 watts at times, right? We need that exact same paradigm to happen on the GPU side. Does that sound about reasonable? And we really have an amazing opportunity as Canadians to actually lead that. We have so much history in companies like Nortel and Telesat and BlackBerry, where we have introduced real paradigm changes in technology in the world. And there's companies that I'm aware of in my hometown in Ottawa that made all of the car OSs for Ford for years and years and years. This is not it's a big thing to ask, but we have history in doing it before, and the people are here, right? So that's the big sort of lofty thing that we need to start working towards. And I'm planting that early because I want that to happen, not only for the environment, but for us as, a nation building initiative, and all the partnerships for that to come on board with. And what that would allow is much more control of local compute. therefore less heat, less power, less dependency on a single provider to empower all of these things and actually have some healthy competition start to happen. Because right now, we can control local compute by having a set amount of servers, a set amount of GPUs, and a set amount of cooling at any moment. But we're always going to have an overrun, and we have to run scurrying to Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, or AWS, really. And we have no idea which AWS cluster we're truly pulling from, right? They say that they have more environmental clusters, but are they actually really provisioning us that 100% of the time? So, that sort of sense of compute helplessness and the fundamental design of compute itself is the single biggest paradigm that I think that we as a society, as a species, need to take a look at, because compute is starting to be just as important as hydro and electricity and food and all the things that we hold as a society. It runs everything. So that is my fundamental argument. It's compute. We need to solve compute design in a major and incredible way if we're going to make anything good out of this.
Didn't hear anything about your entertainment. We'll have to get to that next. Yeah. But also, I think it's pretty cute that you think 20 years is a long time in computing. All right. So, Liz, I am turning it over to you. You can use this microphone if that one isn't working.
Check.
Oh, it's working.
Hello.
Amazing. Okay. So, Liz.
I understood probably half of what you said.
You are a career documentary filmmaker, and you are revisiting a topic that was very powerful to you some time ago, and you're giving it a whole new lens. So I would like you to tell our audience about your first documentary on this topic and now what you're doing in 2025-6 plus.
Check, check. Okay, hi everyone. Hey Chris, thanks for initiating. Chris was a fan of this panel a few weeks ago. We were in a room speaking to film and television industry specialists. Everyone cares about the environment. Can I get a raise of hands? Who's an environmentalist here? Who cares about the climate? Who cares about water, earth, air, trees? Yay! That's most of us. Okay. So yes, I am embarking on a new epic feature documentary currently. I'm at the, I would call it phase 1 development stage, and it is a revisiting of a very big subject matter. So 15 years ago, my very first feature-length documentary is called Water on the Table. And I was so privileged to be able to shadow and witness and follow the tremendous work of Canadian Maud Barlow, when she was in her appointment at the United Nations as the water advisor to the president of the General Assembly. And her mission was really about enshrining water justice. So the protection of water from the greed and exploitation of the so-called free market of the private sector. Which is for profit, and water justice.
Liz, your mic is kind of shaky. I'm going to switch this one in.
Water justice, the ethos of water justice is essentially that water belongs to the public commons. It belongs to the earth. It belongs to future generations. It belongs to all species. It belongs to nature. And it belongs exactly where nature put the water. It should not be diverted, drained, moved, exported, because we know there's evidence to back it up that it creates drought and desertification. So water justice is something that I became extremely passionate about when I made Water on the Table 15 years ago. And so fast forward to now, I'm asking the question, is AI draining this world for another? Now, that's a big meta question that I really look forward to going really deep, because the intersection of AI data center expansion and water use is really an intersection. It's like an epicenter containing many ethical questions, many unfolding big questions that we don't know the answers to yet either. But there's a lot of data coming in. We know that it's estimated that by 2027, data centers will guzzle up 1.7 trillion gallons of water per year. When we look at this magnificent country, Canada, Turtle Island, we know that we are blessed. We have 20% of the world's fresh water, yet only 7% of that is renewable. So we're living in a climate emergency. There's no argument, no debate. And we have raging forest fires in this country. We have drought. There are 36 indigenous nations that are still living without drinkable, potable, clean water. That's a reality. That is a human rights horrible, shameful issue that we have not solved yet. And so I guess really I'm here kind of repping water. I'm repping the air. I'm repping trees and earth and power to the people. I'm also a nerd. I made a documentary. It was released in 2020. It's called Meet the Future. That's MEAT, Meet the Future. It's all about human ingenuity. It's about cultivated meat. It's about a solution. It's using technology, in this case, food technology, to solve one of the biggest climate issues of this planet, which is animal agriculture. So I am not in any way, shape, or form like a full-on like tech resistor, or definitely not a Luddite. But I've kind of thought about, you know, who am I right now in the world? What are my values? What the fuck is going on? Everything's happening so quickly. There's the rise of fascism happening at a crazy pace, and it's been very discombobulating. And we're all kind of trying to get our balance, find our voice within that, and find meaning and purpose around ways to move forward. The 4 pillars that I have kind of come up with, CASC, that's curiosity, awareness, skepticism, and caution. That's specifically about AI. So the awe and wonder, the romance stage, you know, leaning into this sort of like, oh, wow, this is like mind-bending fascination, that whole thing. That will continue, but I think we're now in a more pragmatic stage where we can talk statistics, we can talk pragmatically about the value systems that that are embodied here. So when I focus this new documentary on the intersection of AI data center expansion or sprawl or growth or whatever you want to call it, and water use. You know, for example, the Great Lake Basin is kind of like a ground zero. It's like an epicenter of growth, progress, so-called progress. That is scary. And of course, indigenous ways of understanding the earth, indigenous ways of knowing, and indigenous nations do not recognize colonial boundaries, and they certainly do not say, that's our water or our land or your land. No, it belongs to all of us. And if we are truly environmentally conscious, if we care about this planet, and water needs to be, it's the sacred lifeblood of this earth, then we really need to look very critically at this issue and figure out a way forward. I have a lot more to say. I'll end just by saying that the resistance has arrived. We can look to models right now in Georgia, Indianapolis, and what was the other, Virginia? Anyways, talking about Georgia, there's a tremendous community resistance, and it's been very effective. In fact, there are now moratoriums on new data centers. So people have power. We have to remember that. And it's coming here. And I am going to be on the ground witnessing the unfolding of the resistance.
Thank goodness for storytelling activism and your work, Liz. Thank you so much. I think investigating these themes while they're unfolding, this kind of real-time documentary filmmaking, is absolutely critical. You're making a difference in the moment when people can do something about the problem. What we've just learned from Liz is that these machines are very thirsty. They are thirsty, thirsty machines at a time when many people in the world are very parched. And so we're not only working hand in glove with artificial intelligence to solve problems like the climate crisis, but AI is, in a sense, a rival for the very human resources that we need for our survival. So quick show of hands in our audience. How many of you think about the carbon cost when you query ChatGPT? Okay. A few of you do. And that's pretty good because Vancouver, so I would expect that a few of you would. I believe it's something like 0.1 gram per prompt. And now there are a lot of us with a conscience in this room, but the question for me is, and I'm going to turn this over to our panelists, where is the corporate responsibility around that? So we're taking individual responsibility. Where's the corporate responsibility? The AI carbon costs of training these models and the role that corporations can and must play in greening what I'll call the AI grid. So Kay, I thought I wanted to get the audience to hear from you what your report has to say about corporate responsibility.
Okay, so I think when we talk about corporate responsibility, it's a little bit ironic for me because when you think about the history of capitalism, when have corporations ever been intrinsically motivated to uphold human rights? This is a very important question to ask because truly, like when you think about it, policy is one of the biggest ways to get corporations to actually do the right thing. Corporations are very singular in their purpose. They are there to make money. It's about profit, right? So when we're talking about corporate responsibility, to me, what comes to mind is actually really the immense work, like groundwork that has been laid by the labor movement and in terms of like motivating public policy that supports human rights in general, but also protection for the environment. And I think in this age of AI, we need to really be asking ourselves, okay, well, if corporations were, let's say, hypothetically speaking, interested in actually upholding, corporate responsibility, then why is AI a technology that is essentially built on theft? So, yeah, it's a good question, right? Like ultimately, that's like the pink elephant in the room that we're not really addressing, is that the entire thing is built on theft. There's a lot of arguments happening now in terms of, oh, IP, I own this IP, you can't use this IP. But also folks, real people who've been affected by theft, and yet there's no protections existing. The political will isn't really there, maybe a little bit, but it's something that I feel, again, it's more of an existential question. I feel like Liz would have a bit of maybe something to add.
Are you a commie? We're so people get so brainwashed, they don't think. So in the US, this whole very effective campaign that if you're not a hardcore capitalist, who believes, if you believe in regulation, if you believe in corporate responsibility, if you believe in social democracy, you're a communist. Unbelievable. What a bunch of bullshit. So yeah, we live in a social democracy. We also live in capitalism. How can we use the levers of capitalism to create change? How can we leverage and foster and uphold the principles of a social democracy to make corporations accountable for their crimes?
Well said. You mentioned that AI models have largely been trained on scraped and stolen content. And I've been involved in the past year working with a Vancouver company called Ray, which is one of the largest companies that's developed a fair and transparent marketplace for compensating rights holders for AI training content. However, there's also a carbon cost to this training, right? So training a single large AI model can consume as much electricity as 120 Canadian homes in a year and emit as much CO2 as 110 cars on the road for a year. So, the question is, even if you're being compensated, even if you agree to participate in this kind of ecosystem, you may not be aware of the carbon costs. So what is the responsibility for disclosure or self-education around this? And Kevin, I will turn back to you again to ask on the entertainment side what you're doing about the carbon costs of AI filmmaking.
Right now, as I suggested earlier, we're a little bit helpless to the factors that we're given in terms of compute. And I will bang the drum more on incentivizing efficient compute. What I think is vitally important and perhaps could be a really effective policy procedure, and in fact, maybe even a tax credit incentive to create a kind of, fiscal accountability for efficient compute is efficient computing reports, and therefore tax credit remuneration based on, what kind of models are you using to train? Are they a large behemoth like OpenAI model? Or are they more of a vastly efficient model like some of the ones that ByteDance are putting out, where they run on pennies on the dollar, right? Which thank goodness there's a bit of a price per token kind of metric that we have out there, because that kind of gives us a bit of an idea of how much compute is being used for each of these operations. So if there's a policy structure in place that potentially, really incentivizes taking kind of like the tax credit situation that we're used to in film, and each year, you submit a report on a corporate level, not only are you saving money in real time on compute costs, but you're also being, it's almost like a carbon offset situation. It's a compute carbon offset. I think that could be a very powerful vessel for creating that kind of accountability and sustainability through fiscal responsibility, through policy responsibility. And I say that as a future projection because, the only things that we can really do at the moment is keep compute as local as possible and use smart models locally, have full control of the stack, and really look at the reports and using tools like Lionel introduced to us earlier on every sliver of compute that we're doing. It is time where we start to, instead of just ramming, tasks through massive amounts of compute, we look, we call it fix it in pre in film, if at all possible, right? We take a look at, the projected compute costs and look at every nip and tuck efficiency. And before long, you're saving at least 20%, maybe even 80% if you do it wisely. So, it's creating new paradigms. And this is wild new frontier where everybody's shoving things through on massive compute, on massive models, taking a step back and saying, hey, we can actually have a lot more control than we thought we had by just being conscientious about it.
Mm-hmm. I think about, let's say, closed media ecosystems that we all participate in. Netflix would be a really good example. And if we look at Netflix, just one streaming company, its annual carbon footprint is about 1.6 million tons of CO2, which is roughly equivalent to all the yearly emissions of the city of Vancouver. But now, with artificial intelligence, you have things like AI dubbing, you have AI personalization, you have AI optimization. So all of those things ratchet up the carbon footprint, and we are all part of that streaming ecosystem. We have the power to influence these companies with our pocketbooks, with how we lobby or complain, and to encourage them to do this kind of self-monitoring, or we will do it for them. Yeah. Okay, Chris, I see you've got the bigger mic.
I don't have the bigger mic. But,
I want to re-include Amanda in the conversation as well.
I do want to blow this whole conversation up, actually, though, because I know there's a lot of questions from the audience, and I've got the first one, actually. I find my relationship with AI non-consensual. So you've talked a lot about choosing to be a part of this world, Catherine, or living in this kind of paradigm or whatever, but I'm just doing my best to keep up with the world changing around me or whatever. I'm just trying to figure out where to go from here. It came into my industry and kicked the fucking table over. So I don't feel like I really got a choice. My best choice is to host the conversation where I can look at the opportunities and critique the fucking stuff that's broke. And so anyway, that's in the form of a question.
I just want to piggyback off of Chris's sentiment. And, before I became, recently quite successful in AI filmmaking, I wasn't working for 2 years because of the paradigm shifts of Hollywood and also AI into Hollywood
for you, Wizard.
well.
You came all the way to the breaking line, man.
Absolutely, yeah. So I don't embrace AI filmmaking as the holy grail of things, although there are many creative and opportunities out of it. It's a paradigm that a lot of us have had to wildly and vividly adapt to have a career still, basically.
Like spending our inheritance to retool ourselves to have a seat at the table in this new AI filmmaking world or whatever type thing. We're not just. I welcome you to throw to Amanda, but I'd like to. Is anyone else here? I've seen lots of people taking notes. Alma, yep, coming to you next. There's 5 over there. Is that Topo? Fuck yeah, bro. Topo, you're next.
Hi guys, I really appreciate all your comments because I think they're tremendously important. I'm coming from the background as a computer scientist. I've been building AI systems since the early 90s. And Kevin brought a very important point with regards to we got lazy as developers because back in the 90s, optimization was the key because we didn't want to wait 3 hours for our models to run. So we were looking like minimizing compute power and so on. But then new processors came and made our life easy. And then we got lazy. I've seen models using algorithms that I developed in the early 90s because they now can run very fast. Back then, we would have to wait 3 hours for them to be able to generate the output. So like I just wanted to highlight that point because it's super, super important that we need to be not lazy, right? Like we have to be creative in the optimization as software developers. We need to think again on how we are developing these models so that we are not wasting power, that it's not all brute force, that we have to be better at how we do this because our planet is gonna die, if we don't take care of all of this.
I know. Can you imagine using the most expensive, most smart AI model in the world to make you a recipe?
Check. I think when Geoffrey Hinton accepted his Nobel Peace Prize, did he not? I think it was that speech recently that he said if empathy is not encoded, then we're doomed. And the paradox there is that AI is the core tool for next-gen warfare. It is the core tool for data surveillance and for militarization in all of its forms. Exactly. And it's tested on Palestinians. We know that. That's a fact. So how do we encode empathy when Elon Musk says that empathy is a weakness? And, Palantir, Peter Thiel, they're all about like dominance. So, for me, in the making of this new documentary, when I explore the intersection or the epicenter of AI data center expansion and water use, all of these issues are contained within. So we cannot disentangle the entertainment sector from militarization. It's all connected, and it is the core tool for this planet, which is in peril.
Yeah. That's really great points, Liz. But also I wanted to add a little bit more nuance to the conversation, which is that efficiency is not necessarily the same as sustainability. And those two should not be conflated. We also,
it's not you. I'm so sorry. Just hold it really nice and close to your mouth like that. Yeah.
I'll use this.
Do the same technique.
Okay. We also can't presume that optimization through AI is synonymous with sustainability. Like, I think that there's nuance there in terms of applying solutions. Again, is it fit for purpose? What is the actual objective? Are we even clear on the objective? Much like in terms of the various stages of filmmaking, not necessarily all levels of filmmaking should benefit from like AI interventions. There are some that's like, it's okay to not have AI applied to that. And more to the point, I said this in our previous panel. It's like, I just don't quite understand the reason why we're so obsessed with replacing ourselves. I don't understand that. Just the idea that, to Liz's point earlier, I think there are really incredible uses for AI, especially if it's like very specific use cases. I think where it becomes ethically problematic is when we're talking about using AI to replace human creativity and labor.
Yeah.
aside.
Are you guys open to another question from the audience here? Topo.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks to all of you for your thoughts. And so every time that there's a panel like this, I get really frustrated because I think we all know what needs to be done. Yet it seems like everything is still framed within this big umbrella of capitalism and of the discourse of Silicon Valley of democratization of technology. And it's a comment more than a question, and maybe you can comment on top of it. Just as Liz was saying, right, there are certain words now, like, even you, Liz, you said, I'm not a Luddite. Why not? There are certain words that, I am a Luddite, I am a socialist, and I think that we need to be able to say these things without fear. This idea of democratization, I think it's really dangerous. Silicon Valley has sold it to us as something good. I think there's a difference between democratization and democracy. Democratization, it's about participation. And if that's the case, then, the Egyptian pharaohs democratized pyramid building. Everyone participate. And tagging to what Chris was saying, I feel the same way. I feel like I have no option. When they say, everyone can participate. No, everyone has to participate. You have to be on social media. There's no option not to be on LinkedIn and some of these platforms. So, I guess the comment is an invitation of actually, let's step outside of those frameworks and maybe go to the root of the problem, which capitalism is at the end. And it has to change. When my students ask me, hey, Topo, what do we have to design? What's the best thing we can design? I always tell them, it's not an app, it's not a website, it's none of that. Design a new economic system. Because changing the incentives, when we talk about how can we monetize, the incentive of not using this, we are doing, it's insane. We are talking within a framework that has not served us. Let's not think about how can we monetize one thing or another. Yeah, so that's it.
Before you guys respond up there, you said, you want people to be able to be more courageous to, stand out and say their opinions or whatever. But you also said that we probably all feel the same way. And you just slid that under the radar. You're like, oh, we probably all know what needs to be done. That was your quote. You said, we all know what needs to be done. What do you think we all know needs to be done?
Less consumption, not infinite growth. Not everything has to be monetized. And so what needs to be done is a new economic system. This is not a technology problem. It's not even a political problem. It's an economic problem. Value system. Yeah.
Anyone on the stage want to? There's a bunch of hands about to spring up. Let's keep going. Oh, Sas.
Thanks so much for everything. I really appreciate the conversation. Talking about regulation, and that's one of the levers that we can do to constrain AI and making sure that we don't overconsume. But I do think we also have to consider the fact that changing human behavior is very difficult. And the reality on the ground is changing that. And to your point, changing the system, that's a really big challenge. I'm an MBA student. We're talking a lot about innovation and entrepreneurship. Wondering if we can talk about the other lever of changing the climate crisis through innovation via AI and what opportunities there are there.
Yeah, I don't know if this mic's on. Yeah, okay. So I mentioned that we launched an ethical artificial intelligence accelerator fund, and the purpose of that was to accelerate startups that were looking at that very problem. So problems of sustainability, inclusion, access, and that kind of thing, and investing, perhaps in more circularity versus profit, and kind of combining interesting economic models with artificial intelligence and using AI as a tool for good. So if you want to take a look at that, there are a whole list of projects, the Community Safety and Wellness Accelerator. I'll just highlight one. It's a female-founded company called Areto Labs. They're Canadian, New Zealand based, and they've created a solution to detoxify social media. So it's used by athletes, leagues, celebrities, politicians that face a lot of online toxicity, which, as we know, can spill into real world fear and transgressions. And they're using AI to kind of dominate positive things on feeds and minimize negative things. And it's had a tremendous boost in the mental health of these athletes and others that are using this solution. So that would be an example. And their business model is very good and fair on top of that. So they're actually practicing what they preach, which has made it difficult for fundraising, which looks at always, the hockey stick and where, you're an MBA student, these very common metrics. So we also have to not only change what we make and do, but we have to change the business models that we're using as we go on this journey.
Okay, let's talk about changing business models for a second. So what role do we want to play in the AI economy here in British Columbia? Do we want to buy our tokens from San Francisco? Do we want to produce our tokens in hydro-powered, indigenous-owned data centers in British Columbia? Do we want to buy LNG-powered tokens from Alberta? Sorry, what was another idea? Oh, you're going to tell me some crypto shit, aren't you?
Run.
I'm open to, I want to put this on the table. So it's like, I got kids who live in BC. I want them to have jobs in the future. I want this economy to thrive. I want to go send them to university. So what part of the economy of the future do we want to play?
We've been talking a lot about efficiency saving, and as we all know, if we get... Oh, yeah. No, it's not weird at all. But one side of the problem is obviously efficiency. That's the individual. We all know what we did with LEDs. We just got 10,000 more LEDs. And so that it allows us to do a lot more that way with the efficiencies. But on the other side is, where does the power come from? And that's a big conversation here in BC. Obviously, we've got hydro, and that has not necessarily been done in the best way. Locally, I haven't talked to one of the chiefs on the Site C dam. So I was also touring a mine up in northeast British Columbia, and I pointed and I said, "What's that mountain over there?" And he goes, "Oh, that's where we put all the thorium." It turns out thorium is everywhere there's coal, and it turns out thorium was decided way back in the day when they were developing nuclear weapons to say rare earth minerals to develop power.
I'm not going to cut you off. I'm going to make this a more inclusive conversation. So last week, Adrian Dix and David Eby took a lot of the energy that's produced in British Columbia and dedicated it to thorium, aluminum, rare earth minerals. They say the role we want to play in the future here in British Columbia is mining up the things that they need to build data centers in other places. This is what you're talking about, more or less.
Thorium is kind of like uranium, except it's a lot safer, a lot less damaging the environment, and doesn't require millions of years in order for it to become degraded. So basically, there's reports going way back, all the way to like the early 1930s, 40s, 50s, and they actually built a megawatt thorium plant back in the 60s. It was highly successful, and the United States killed it.
Thank you. This is a very valuable contribution because it is another path. We could also just mine up the rocks that everybody else uses in their rare earth mineral Teslas and data centers or whatever. So it's like, what role do we want to play in the coming economy? Open-ended question. We got about 5 more minutes here, you know? Let's take this all the way there.
So I want to stitch together a whole bunch of things that I've heard, because I still haven't heard what I wanted to ask, and stitch together behavior change, stitch together efficiency, stitch together how we change systems, and think about, and it was mentioned, so when you think about film cameras versus digital cameras, we used to have 24 slides of film to take pictures. Now that we have unlimited amounts of storage on our iPhone, we take many more pictures. And it goes towards the creative side. How do we think about, fix it in pre? Where's the design thinking involved in using technology to help us as humans be better humans, right? So we're building technology as a way to It's often in our own image, but we're not using it in a way to help us become better humans. So this is the question to you guys. How do we use the most insane godlike technology that we have to help us change our own behavior so we become better humans at the same time as using less materials, taking less pictures, using less data, designing better algorithms? How do we do it?
And I want to present that as like a last comment from everybody, kind of like 30 seconds if you would like. His question is the same as everyone's in the room. So I agree with you. I'm sure many people agree about the concerns that you're identifying and the conflicts that arise inside us. So take a crack at it. We're not going to hold you to it. This is not, it might be on the permanent record, but how do we get there from here?
I guess to me, there's the premise is problematic for me from the jump, because when you're talking about being better humans, we can become better humans without technology. Go to therapy. Deal with your trauma. Can we get real about that? Like, for real. Like, if you don't have enough empathy, then what's wrong with you? Like, truly. Like.
But Kay, I've been to therapy. So let's take it to the next level.
AI can do those things for us. AI can do amazing things. It's a wonderful tool, and there are so many ways that we can use it. But it's just like anything. There has to be balance. We still have to be looking at how we're paying. And I would like to have a home. I would like to have a planet. I would like to have water and food and a future for our kids. That should be just as important as all of these benefits that we get from AI. We have to look at the perks of having a lovely home to live in, a lovely planet to live on with all the resources that we have. We have to look at that as being just as valuable as everything that AI is bringing us. We don't need to give up one or the other. We just need to find a way to have balance, to be mindful of our consumption in every way. That's all.
And to your point, Chris, in terms of, folks who make an attempt to heal, the thing about healing is that it's not linear. It is not linear. It is a lifelong journey. There is no end to it. And what it takes is actually accountability. And that's the main thing that's missing in this whole, picture, that when we're looking at it, it's about transparency, it's about accountability, and it boils down to consent. It boils down to control and compensation.
Yes, heard, Kay. Thank you.
My tagline that I mentioned when I first started speaking is the question that I'll pose again. Is AI draining this world for another? And I would like to say as my sort of final words that we cannot lose sight or touch with the movement to protect this world, this planet, this water, these trees, this land, this earth, this air, and the animals, and the people. And it's an intersectional issue. And we're getting so pulled into these portals and devices and screens and games and ideas and colonizing space and killing people with AI, and it goes on and on. And I want to say, let's reinvigorate and not forget the movement, the human-based movement to protect this place.
Yes.
Sure.
I think there's a really interesting opportunity in a storytelling sense, in that these tools are here. There's no way to get around them at the moment. Like it's just here. It's a paradigm that's pervasive. There's something very punk rock about having something that's staring you in the face and using that tool in and of itself to tell the stories to create the change. So I think those of us, right? This paradigm is here. This paradox is here. Let's use all of our community, all of our voices, and all of our talents, and convene in this new frontier that is here, whether we want it or not. And it's clear that it's both. At the same time, we are in a time that is many more truths than we ever imagined. So let's use the tools that are here to tell stories that remind us exactly what we're here for, what we're fighting for, our families, our communities, our global village, and probably our galactic village if we look a little bit further out, right? So that's my take on it. It's like, you know, punk rock, the aesthetic came to life because of the Xerox copying machine. You know, Xerox was a hideous, terrible company. Like, wow, look at their rap sheet. It's bad. That was just like a drop in the bucket compared to what we may have on our horizon. Let's use these tools to fuck it up, y'all.
You know, Chris, you asked what role that we could play here as a community, as a city. And just want to remind everyone here that Vancouver is a global center for circularity and for the B Corp movement. So we already have these models that are capitalist busting right here at our doorstep. We have the talent in our city, and we also have a lot of AI savvy in this room. So maybe twinning those things, we will then find what our secret sauce is as this unique region. Thank you all so much.
Seriously. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Will you come up here and just kind of like come with me, take a little bow, let people clap? I actually believe in us. I believe in us a lot because we're having these types of conversations, right? Like this is a bunch of different people who don't exactly all think the same way. Amanda, thank you for being on your first panel and first talk ever, for sharing your story. And Kay, thanks for getting more people involved. Catherine, great vision to bring all this together. You broke through my no panels policy. I really appreciate it. And thank you guys for all being a part of this. I'm really just trying to host a conversation that will elevate all of our capabilities so that we can be at the table when these decisions are made and be a part of the future conversation. So welcome to it. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Here, hold the mic. You're the boss.
Thank you.
Where's that hair going?
Okay. Check it out. We got like half an hour left to enjoy ourselves, enjoy some beverages. Do you have another comment? Okay, thank you. We have about another half an hour to enjoy ourselves. Please clean up after your neighbor.
Where should we take the bottle?
The recycle's in the back. If you're not on our group chats, ask somebody, yo, how do you guys all stay connected all the time?
This way with like the lights behind looks